Okay, I'm going to do a little video of the removal of a tree stump of a large cherry tree, which, as you can see, was in the corner of my garden wall here. And the reason is because of two large cracks which were forming in the wall, and the video probably doesn't show how severe those cracks are. The wall is about 6 foot high from the base to the top of the triangular blocks, and this tree stump, which has been exposed, the earth around it has been removed, which has taken a considerable amount of time, is about 1 meter at its widest, and across the other way is probably about ½ meter, and exposing lots of substantial roots as you go lower down. We've tried a chainsaw, but the wood is so dense that it blunts very, very quickly and you can hardly cut anything. And we've tried burning with wood on top, with coal, drilling holes in and putting diesel fuel in and having that burning for a time, but it just doesn't want to burn. It's just so dense that any fires just gradually burn themselves out, and it's taken maybe 2 or 3 inches out of the core of the tree stump, but you'd have to burn a tremendous amount to make that disappear by combustion. So I'm now at the next stage where I've hired a large tree grinder or stump grinder, which will arrive tomorrow, and I'm going to see how that performs. And I'm just now clearing out access. As you can see, my garden shed is in the way, and we have about just over 1 meter wide, and these things allegedly are about 28 inches. Sorry for inches versus meters. So 39 inches is about 1 meter. So we've got some clearance to get one of these machines in there, and this is part 1. And the reason I'm doing it is every other video I've seen on YouTube has always shown large tree stumps with lots of area around it, easy to get at, all nicely accessible, whereas there's not too many examples of really awkward looking stumps. So that's my part 1, and part 2 will be developed tomorrow. Thank you. Bye bye. Okay guys, doesn't look like much, but it's about 4 full barrow loads, which is damp or soil and very, very heavy. And that's me done for today, and I'm now going to show you what's been left in preparation for my stump grinder, which is arriving tomorrow. So now you can sort of see the approach route for it. So I've got 1.5 meters here, and then just over 1.5 meters here, and this thing is 28 inches wide, so it will fit. There's the tree, and that's the pit to give a level ground just in front of the stump. So I'll just go around the other side. And you can see the size of the stump from this side, and clearly I couldn't get a machine in this way, it's too narrow, but it'll give you a different perspective on what I've actually done to prepare. So it's about ½ meter deep, and I think it's flat enough there like that. If I put some planks down to get this machine into the stump itself. The stump itself fills this corner, lots of roots coming off it, and the wood is extremely hard. And this was a tree maybe 10-12 meters high, and about on its girth, across the girth, the diameter was probably about 80 centimeters at most of its height, which I've taken down last year on a piece by piece basis with a chainsaw and climbing up it, and just bringing it down 3 or 4 meters at a time using block and tackle and lowering the cut branches and parts of the stump. That was a job last year, but the tree stump hasn't shown any signs of rotting despite all sorts of chemicals being put on it, diesel, burning, and it's still very fresh inside. So the only way was to go and hire a stump grinder for about £160. So we'll find out whether it's going to do a job tomorrow. Bye for now. Okay guys, here we are, second day, and taking delivery of this beast, and it was offloaded by the hire people. The engine started immediately, started 2 times thereafter, brought it to the job and it would not start. I had a quick look at the filter, which was clogged a little bit, but not enough to stop the airflow. Put it back together again, made a phone call to the hire company, sent somebody out in half an hour. He changed the plug, and then he found that there's a little fuel cop underneath which was closed, obviously for transportation, but it doesn't mention it in the instructions, and it wasn't shown to me by the guys starting it this morning. Anyway, that was the source of the problem. Thereafter it started okay, but as you can see, the machine is pretty heavy. Lots of issues with this thing. It's a 2-man job, not a 1-man job, and I'm going to have to now just improve the access to the tree stump by putting better planking down so I can get closer and manoeuvre around in small tranches. So I'm going to start again and set up the floor around it and make another little movie. Okay, this is caught me during break time. So here's the beast. I've had to readjust the handles to give me a little bit more manoeuvrability. You see the amount of sawdust the thing has ground out off the stump. So I'll show you around the other side now. So it's starting to look like it's doing a great job. The main issue always is the positioning of the wheel, and because of the weight of the machine and the limited space we've got, that's proving to be quite tricky, and the height of the tree stump is still high relative to the ground, so I'm having to create a sort of artificial floor as we lower the stump until I get to the point where we can just use the ground itself. So this is going to take a while longer. We'll work at it till as long as we can today, and then we'll probably go in tomorrow morning with it. But it's all the setting up around it that's taking the time. The actual grinding, once it starts, is pretty quick. Although it still takes time. It is a slow process. Setting ourselves up for the next phase. It actually doesn't look like much of the stump has actually gone, but there's a tremendous amount of sawdust. So we're going to roll the machine down there and try and attack the centre of that stump, the core of the stump, to see if we can get that a little bit lower down to the same level as some of the lower roots. The starting problem. And the starting problem was related to, I can show you, there's a little valve there which had been, this is a fuel shut-off valve, and we weren't told about that, so we didn't touch anything that we weren't supposed to, so that's why it wouldn't start. So when the technician came, the service from the hire company was pretty good. They came after about half an hour, and it took him a minute or two to sort out the problem, but it does start very easily now. So yeah, the machine's pretty good, very robust, very heavy. My sort of main issue is this angle here. When you're trying to start the engine, when it won't start and you're really pulling very hard and you get tired, you tend to wallop this with your hand, so that's quite painful. Apart from that, the machine is very robust, reasonably manoeuvrable, but in tight spaces, of course, you really need 2 people. I'm trying to do it on and off by myself, and my wife's helping me every now and again, but it's not a job for 1 person. The machine's just too big and heavy, but the machine itself is doing what it's supposed to. Good machine, yeah. Okay, here we are again. We're just going to take another run at it. We've now exposed, there was various stones and things, so we've cut out a lot of the stones. See the earth now. We've got 1 root there that we want to attack, and then 1 at the back, which will then leave a full stump root there to have a go at. But the access to it is still a problem because of the proximity of this shed, which prevents a lot of movement. So if we can remove this one and this one tonight, that sets us up for having a good go tomorrow morning. It does take longer than you think, this machine, but it's very powerful. It just keeps grinding away, and keeps going. It's a lot of work in there. This is my other helper.
Hello.
So 2 ladies and 1 man. Okay folks, that's the job done as best we can. There's some stuff in there against the wall, but I think we'll now leave that, and bit by bit it'll either decompose or I'll light a coal fire against it a couple of times and just gradually see where we go. The machine's performed brilliantly. It's done a very good job. I recommend that machine. Definitely a 2 or 3 man job even at times, when you have to really lift and maneuver things around to get the best angle on things. But as you can see, we're just going to tidy it up, and then we'll do one final shot to show you the cleaned up version. Say, well done, my little helper.
That's brilliant.
Here's the real boss. Here's the boss.
Go on, look at this.
Arrived too late, all dressed up to kill. Hey, but
Brilliant.
so
How's he doing that?
with this great assistance from a great pair of females.
Look at this.
Yeah, it's pretty good, I see. So when you look at the before and after photographs, the machine has done a great job. This is the machine that did the job, and once we'd sorted out the problem of the fuel cock, the starting procedure was very, very simple, and the machine worked very well. The name of the machine is I don't know. Here we go. A Salmon made in Britain machine. Well, if this is British manufacture, bring on Brexit, because that is certainly an exportable product. Brilliant.